11 and 12 under Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. All those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed?
So if the motion is on the floor, so we can't really amend it. I think I could move it with Jiu-Jitsu 10 added motion. And it's on the floor.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I told Mr. Roberts, you really can't move a motion, can you? Not yet.
No, check.
Okay, so it's on the floor. All those in favor of the amendments? And all those
I was
opposed?
going to move it with the 10. I don't think we need to do an amendment, do we?
Well, I'm gonna do the amendment and give you,
So who's going to move the motion then?
you move the motion and with an amendment. So we're gonna vote on the amendment.
You have to move the motion and somebody else has to move it. The original motion.
Okay, so I'm happy to have whoever move it and whoever amended. Okay, thank you, Trustee McNally, and thank you, Trustee Ferris. So we have an amended motion on the floor. All those in favor of the amendment? And that's unanimous. Okay. So do we have any questions, comments, discussion that we want to be having around this, trustees? Trustee Martin? Oh, thank you. Trustee McNally and then Trustee Ferris.
Thank you. So I'm continuing my struggles with board authorized courses over my years at the table. I'd like to say that, I can support the automotive service technician aspect or course here because of funding, we can't offer the infrastructure at every school, I guess, to, at this point, allow people at every high school to learn automotive technology. So that would be a real, just a reality basis for me to support that one. I could support Reconnecting Youth because I feel that, I believe that it's a very valuable course for the specific population that it's targeted to. But given our concerns with climate and the reality that animal agriculture contributes tremendously to climate issues in a bad way, the professional cook outline doesn't mention vegan cooking and is heavily weighted toward animal agriculture cooking. So I'm going to abstain for those reasons.
Thank you, Trustee McNally. Trustee Ferris?
I guess I don't have questions, although these are in addition to the current courses that we offer. So they're essentially new, or are they just courses that are there? Thank you.
Trustee Rocky?
Yeah, I'm just wondering about the Reconnecting Youth course. One of the things I was wondering is the expectation that students will be selecting this course on their own, or is there some expectation that there'll be recommendations toward this given the specific topics that we're looking for and that we're looking at? And if so, is this a sort of course that might invite participation from a number of schools? I'm not quite sure how it would operate.
So perhaps we have representatives from the schools which developed the frameworks, and perhaps they could answer those questions.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. If you want to just grab a microphone, that would be wonderful. Thank you for coming tonight.
Do you want to answer that?
Yeah.
My name is Gordon Mitchell. I'm the principal at Lambert Park. For Reconnecting Youth, it would be, kids could choose it if they wanted to, but it would also be a recommendation by staff and for parents. It's really an opportunity for kids to really make a connection and get back to school. So that's the purpose behind it.
And sorry, and just purposes of clarification, is this being offered through Lambert and available to Lambert students, or is it through the link and available to students across the district?
It would be available, once it's authorized, it would be available to anyone across the district. district. I do believe there's a training portion to offering reconnecting youth that needs to be done for the people who teach it, but conceivably any school could run it.
Trustee Waters.
So just to clarify, we're not authorizing these as they're connected to the specific school to bring forward the job proposal. Once the district approves them, then they're available for any school that they have.
That's my understanding, but I will defer to our professionals on that.
Yes, that's correct.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, Krista, go ahead.
My question is with regard to the professional cook program, and I'm wondering if that can be, if the content can be amended to allow children with food allergies to safely participate?
That's a good question. I just had not thought about that. Do we have any?
And then we have representatives for black schools or for Esquimalt in the district who developed the program, who might respond to that.
Wonderful, thank
I'm
you.
Nancy Johnson with Pathways and Partnerships. Absolutely, yeah. That's a consideration always for our cook programs and culinary programs.
Thank you, and thanks again for being here. Do you have any other questions or comments in relation to the motion on the floor? No? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to call it to a vote. And again, thank you everyone for coming tonight. Appreciate you being here. All those in favor of the motion? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Thank you. All right, so that was everyone in favor and Trustee McNally abstaining. Okay, so, Mr. Caldwell, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. So tonight, I'm just going to take a few minutes and just go over the sort of final summary of our annual review for the operational plan for learning support. We've been working through this plan for a number of years with the strategic plan, and with the new strategic plan rolling out, we will be adjusting our operational plans to reflect that as well. I'm sure there are many pieces to what we've currently been doing and working through that will carry on with the new strategic plan as well. Before I start though, I do want to acknowledge a group of amazingly professional, can I use that, amazingly professional, thirsty people? Amazing group of professional people that I've worked with, that we work with as a team in our district, and it includes administrators, it includes district learning support teachers, it includes our speech language pathologists, our psychologists. I will talk a little bit more about part of our plan and the building of those complex problem-solving teams and how we support all students within our district through that team and through the membership, and many of whom are here tonight supporting the work that we've done as well. So this really is a team effort and led incredibly well by Deputy Superintendent Whitten. One of the things that we've looked at in the past, and I just want to, we had 3 goals in our operational plan, and I've just summarized them very briefly off to the side there. The first goal being meaningful and purposeful educational opportunities, mental health and well-being for goal 2, and diversity and learning differences for goal 3. Now, previous to this year, we've used the green light, red light, orange light as our sort of indicator as to where we are. We moved away a little bit from that. We're still using the colors, green indicating we're really doing well in that area, yellow being, yeah, we're getting there, we're not doing, you know, we've got work to do, and red being, we haven't even attempted that piece at this point. So that's the colors. You don't see any red up there in the 3 goals because we believe we are, in the last few years, have worked our way down. The other piece to this is we're using an assessment grid that we see ministry using in terms of language, that emerging, developing, proficient, and extending. And you can see the arrows there. That's sort of moving us through that grid. In particular, if you look at our goal 1 there, we're proficient in that goal. That's green. We have a lot more work to do for us to extend it. We've done incredible work in our district on the mental health component of our goal, goal 2. And so we've extended that, and again, all green. And then the diversity and learning differences, as we've lived it in these last few years, it's been a very difficult sort of work to get us to places where we're feeling that we're really making inroads, and we are. I mean, we're in the developing piece there. We're not emerging. We're now developing. So there's a lot of room for us to work, and we acknowledge it has been difficult work, and we acknowledge that there's a lot of work for us to do in terms of just the communication side of it as well, so that we all understand what it is we're doing and why we're doing it. If I look at our team, you know, the average is 20 years experience in education as teachers, and add to that the extra years that we've all put in terms of other positions within the district, including administration. A lot of us on our team are in the 30-year, and we're all here to support kids and families and staff within our schools. And together we can make this district, and I've heard often in meetings that I've gone to at the provincial level, we are leading our district in many ways in terms of the work that we're doing. I'm very proud of that work that our staff have led us through. I want to look at the first one. There are a number of strategies for each of these goals as well. I'm only going to look at one strategy for each goal, but I do believe that there was a handout that showed the 3 goals and each of the strategies along those goals and where we were on that scale for each of those strategies as well. So you'll see green and yellow or orange, and again, extending all the way through to the 4 different levels that are there. But I will speak specifically to one strategy of each, just for the sake of the time that we take to go through the entire package. There's our first goal: provide meaningful and purposeful educational opportunities for students with diverse learning needs while considering the physical, the social, emotional, and the academic domains. And I do want to talk just briefly with respect to this goal on strategy 1.2, which is to further develop and support teams of professionals in schools so that they may co-plan and co-deliver instruction in inclusive ways. We've done a lot of work within our district with Shelley Moore, and I think you're probably all familiar with Shelley and what she brings to the table when it's the conversation on inclusion. And one of the things that we as a district have recognized is that often we forget to connect support with learning, and the two have to go together. So we need to be we have to have that understanding of what is it to support, both in proactive and reactive, because we have both. How do we support looking at inclusion through this lens, and what does it look like when we look at those teams of professionals, and what do we do with those professionals to support their learning in terms of the co-planning and co-delivering of instruction. So we have some amazing programming that occurs within our district, and one of the things that we really value is that we're able to provide that programming in every school within our district. And there have been some that have been exemplars, and we know that we get conversations or have conversations often about schools like Arbutus and the programming that happens at Arbutus. It's amazing. We want to see that happen all through our district, not just in one area, so that neighborhood schools their students can attend their neighborhood schools and build those relationships that we know are super important for their development as they grow in their community through K through 12. One of the things that, and I just want to point out because I'm talking about Arbutus right now, is that we will continue working with Arbutus and the programming that goes there. In the next couple of weeks, I will be connecting with all of our elementary schools and middle schools to ensure that they're communicating with families in their district, those kids they know that could benefit from Arbutus, to open that door to say, hey, this is also available if you choose. If you want to remain in your school, we will help those educators do that work with your child to include them and ensure that their educational programming is appropriate for them there. So we are communicating with schools, elementary, middle. We will provide Arbutus programming for the years to come. We haven't had any sort of conversation that won't be happening. I know there is a motion out there somewhere about something regarding Arbutus, and I'm sure that we'll revisit that at some point as well. But our intent, and always has been our intent, to keep those amazing programs open and running. And they have been through all of this. We have not reduced any funding to support that programming in those schools. So that is still there, as are other opportunities, particularly at secondary. We know that students are going to transition from their elementary and middle schools and their pathway schools. And so what are we offering that may be different for secondary as well? And we've got some, again, those pockets of amazing work that we're replicating elsewhere so that we don't have students leave. I'll just point out Reynolds is one of them as well. There is programming at that can accommodate students if they choose to go that path. There is programming at Victor School for students if they choose to pursue that path as well. One of the things that we have done and done very well is earlier, a few years ago, we looked at that early stage, and we talked a little bit about that with reading recovery. And one of the things we focused on with our counselors was that we knew that if we increased counseling time at the elementary level, we could have a huge impact on the social emotional learning piece as we move through the K through 5 programming. And we see that happening now. We see that in the data that we get back from those data points, those data sources that we engage, the EDI, the MDI, the Adolescent Health Survey. So we know we're having an impact with the work that we're doing there. So based on that counselor collaboration and knowing that based on what Shelley Moore teaches us about that infrastructure, that building of those teams, including the school-based teams, that we can have an impact. And so we've started something similar to the counselor collaboration, which happens 4 times a year. All counselors come together, the same language, we understand the processes. We're doing the same thing now with our learning support teachers for our schools, so that their learning support teams, again, understand what are the processes that we have involved in our district, and how do we access those supports when needed. So looking at that, we're moving back now to that collaborative time that's built into this work, and we're revisiting it. That's the other important piece that we've learned as well, that it's not a one-off, one-time thing. We have to go back and revisit. If we've done the training once in 1 year, we have to go back and look at it in a different way the second year, in the third year, in the fourth year. So we want to continually bring this forward so that we are together in the work and we understand as we move and grow with the work. The other goal is supporting the mental health needs and well-being of all students within an inclusive learning model, and put the NDI up here. If you haven't had an opportunity to look at the NDI data, please do, because it really does give a good picture, an excellent picture of that social emotional piece within our district. So the middle years, we're talking grade 4 and grade 7, they do the NDI. The EDI is done much earlier in kindergarten. And then the McCrory report comes out, so the adolescent survey focuses on grade 8 through 12 in our district. Some really, really amazing sources of data to support the work that we're doing. And again, why are we doing it, and how do we know how well we're doing while we're doing it? If we continue to do something the same way over and over and over again and still having the same result, and if we want to change that result, then what are we looking at to help us support that change? And certainly from our perspective, it's data. One of the things that we've done, and all the way through K through 12 in our district, we've introduced Second Step to all schools within the district, and we've provided training for all of our elementary schools to support that. And a new module is coming out this spring for parents to be involved in the Second Step program as well. And again, it's that social emotional language at each level, K through 5, and it has to be applied and consistently applied for us to see that impact. So our work is to work with schools who are new to it and those that are well into it, and how do we support the growth within our district. The other one is, if we look at our middle schools, one of the important pieces, again, from the data of MDI, is that physical literacy piece. And we knew that if we invested in the physical literacy side of things with our grade 6 and grade 7 students, we could see that next step, that teen mental health piece for grade 8 would have a larger impact on that social emotional learning. And so we're at the point now where every middle school in our district, grade 6 and 7, all advisory teachers are trained on physical literacy and what that looks like for their students in their school. And every one of our middle schools have participated, and every one of our teachers of those grade 6 and 7 students have participated in it as well. And going back to what I said earlier, we're revisiting that because we know it's important. It's not a one-off. So we introduced it last year with the pilot project with Monterey and with Central, and this year we've brought all 10 of our middle schools on board with the program. The other piece of that is grade 8. We know we have to look at mental health earlier with our students within our district, and we know grade 8 with teenmentalhealth.org, and Senator Stan Kutcher is leading that work. We have trained all of our grade 8 middle school advisor teachers on teenmentalhealth.org. They're providing that curriculum within the school, and we revisit it for all new teachers each year. So this is the second year. We brought back those teachers that have taken it last year, and we brought them back up to speed on it, and we brought all new teachers together to support the work with teenmentalhealth.org. And I know that you've all seen it, the snapshots that have gone out which support our mental health and substance use, and we've morphed those as well. We've got an elementary level piece to that that's coming up this spring. We've also moved it away from just the mental health and the substance use piece to other important topics within our district as well, including bullying. What is bullying? What is not bullying? And how do we have those conversations about the difference between them? How do we look at supporting parents in the work with their children when it comes to building that resilience that we know our kids have? And it just takes that extra little bit to support that work at home, and how do we engage parents with that? So we are looking at really morphing those snapshots into the bigger picture and taking on those other areas as well. I just want to tell you, last year, the introductory year for the snapshots, we had over 10,000 people access our snapshots. So think about that, 10,000 parents and students and staff, because it goes to all three once a month, have accessed that information. And think of the impact that that's having within our district and within that whole fear that we knew was out there, and not to say that it's still not there, but the fentanyl crisis and our work with our snapshots on the fentanyl crisis. And I want to just do a praise to our crew for this, because we were recognized at the provincial level in the fall with us being the only district with the resources available that all districts could access. That says a lot when the ministry is looking at it going, oh my goodness, look at this. This district was able to do it, and by the way, it's a district with a team. And it's fantastic work, and I can't recommend you to take a look at them. And there's some great ones coming up this month as well. I also want to talk about, we've done a lot with educators as well, and I just want to point out we have been using the Mindfulness for Educators program in our district now since 2016. And we've actually put 119 staff through the Mindfulness for Educators program. And again, like I said earlier, we keep going back to it. So those that were trained 4 years ago are still coming back and getting upgrade, I don't know if I call it an upgrade, but an updated version of mindfulness. Because again, it's like anything, you get that initial sort of entry into it. What did it look like? What did you try in your classroom? How did it work for you? Where are you today, 4 years later? What does it look like for your students and families when it comes to this program? So 119 staff that have completed the course, and research has been done. We have a great research package from Dr. Elizabeth Child of Royal Roads. Again, all recommending that the programming for teachers continue in mindfulness. And the last one, that's what I just spent a lot of time on. As you can see, if you're busy, you get distracted. Our third goal, continue to develop an understanding for diversity and respect for women differences. And really, this is, with all credit to our wonderful crew, and I'm not sure why I'm calling them crew. That's brand new language for me. I like it. This is really where our work is right now, and we've heard clearly that there are many pieces to this, that it's excellent work. We just have to do a lot more in terms of that communication piece, in terms of building those relationships and understanding that we're all here for the same purpose. And that's to ensure that our students, our families, our staff, all are involved in this incredible journey through diversity and inclusion. So our one step earlier, late in the fall, was looking at the Inclusion Forum and what we heard there. How do we take that forward and do that work and do that parent survey and get that input there and really take the time to focus on making those changes that we know are the right changes within our district. And what does that look like, and how do we get everyone's voice as a part of that as well? I also want to just quickly talk a little bit more. I talked a little bit about infrastructure, and Sheldon Moore is very big on that infrastructure piece of it. If we put that in place, then it becomes easier to start the work and get into the deeper piece to the work. But the other piece, if we look at the infrastructure to support inclusion and create further opportunities, really aligns what I talked about earlier, that idea of support and learning, and how the two go together. So we don't have learning support way over here and learning going on way over here. The two are combined together, and we really have to look at that from that multidisciplinary team. And we've done some big shifts this year, and you may or may not be aware of it, but one of the shifts that we've done, again, breaking down those silos and getting our complex team together, our psychologists and our speech language pathologists, and our teachers of the deaf, hard of hearing, and visually impaired, and our district learning support teachers, how we really get everyone together and use our processes to the benefit of all. And we've combined, we're no longer spread out through the district. We actually have a hub, and the hub is the Quadro warehouse, where all of our itinerants and our specialist teachers are together. Those conversations are now happening under one roof, and we're getting to that place where we understand how it takes a team, and when those teams are involved and when they're not involved. So very important work there. The other piece to this is that we've actually restructured how we work as a district as well. And we were separate. We did have an Indigenous education. We did have the learning team. We did have the learning support team. And really, if we're siloed, we're not having those conversations the way we should be having these conversations. And so as a district, we too have shifted how we're doing our work together. And now we're district team as opposed to each of those separate pieces here. And again, the people that need to be involved are always invited to the table when and as necessary as well. So the work, again, going back to the first slide that I have there is work to be done. We are doing some amazing work in some important areas. I know with the new strategic plan coming out, we will fine tune that as well. And we will be looking at improving what we've done within our district to support all learners, to support our staff and our schools, and most importantly, to support our families and the work that we do within as well. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for being here tonight and for your presentation. I will open it up to the floor for any questions or comments that folks around the table may have. Thank you very much. Trustee Ryan Painter, Trustee Ferris.
Thank you, Chair. To Harold and to the entire learning support team, very good work. I love seeing the amount of progress you've made on mental health, especially. I think that's fantastic. The physical literacy piece is actually very interesting. So I really would love to hear more on that as you're developing that scope and moving that forward. What I really find interesting too is from a business analysis perspective, you're using a very agile way of going through things. It's very iterative. You're coming back and you're constantly reviewing and seeing how it's working and shaping. I really appreciate that. I look at all the snapshots when they come out, so they are fantastic. And just hats off to the crew. Very well done. Thank you.
Are we going to trademark that?
No shirts, unburdened shirts.
There we go. The plans are already being hatched. Thank you, Trustee Painter. Trustee Ferris.
I will reiterate the things Trustee Painter said, but also to just say how impressed I am about how we can see this developing in the district, and you know, every year I feel better about it. Very impressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Waters and then Trustee Snell.
Thanks so much, Harold. I always enjoy your presentations, and this was no exception. I just wanted to highlight just to talk around teams and multidisciplinarity of the teams. I mean, it just makes so much sense to have, you know, no one person's going to have all angles and be able to see, you know, all the different ways that we can support a kid. So being able to bring people together in a team makes so much sense to me, and I imagine that must also create a much more supportive working environment too, because I know, you know, really high stress, you know, especially for people working with children with really exceptional challenges. And, you know, I've heard over the years how lonely that work can be, and so I think, you know, we're always stronger together. And so it makes sense that we are broadening those teams to bring in all the people with the expertise, and of course that includes parents, because they are the real experts and the students themselves. So It's really exciting to me to hear about that direction, and anytime we're breaking down silos, I think we're doing good work. Yeah, so kudos.
Thank you, trustee McNally.
Thank you, yes, reiterating all the kudos. It's great to have this information in front of us and know that so much work is going on behind our students anyway. I've fallen behind on the snapshots, I confess. So I'd like to ask just two questions. One's about the snapshots. Has there been a snapshot on meth and crystal meth?
At the end of last year, in June, we actually did a summary of all the street drugs that were out there. We didn't go into detail with meth or crystal meth, other than what it was, what the street name was, and what to look for in terms of addiction. But we haven't really focused a snapshot specifically to that, no.
Might I ask that at some point you consider that?
Yeah, we've got a list, yes, I'll add that to our list. Yeah.
Because there's no ready medical intervention for it, or there's no naloxone, but it's a thing. So thanks for considering my suggestion that you have clearer focus on it at some point. And I'm going to, I guess, speak about the unspeakable. There's been, we've overcome stigma speaking about mental health issues, and we've overcome stigma speaking about drug use. They're things, they exist in human beings, and they always will. So there's another aspect of human life that was addressed long ago in a really frank way by Dr. Laura Robinson in the Soup District when I was working at AEA there, and it was familial sexual abuse. And she put it on the table and talked about it frankly. And I think that's one of the next frontiers in terms of taboo discussions that we need to have. I'm certain that in every class there's a child who comes to school with a huge cloud of baggage, to mix metaphors. I can't talk about that to anybody. So, two things that were on my mind, and thank you again for a great presentation.
Thank you, trustee McNally. We have a question at the back. Go ahead. Would you mind taking the podium just so we can hear you fully? And it's Christine. Thanks so much, Christine, for your question or your comment. In advance of it.
Yeah, just a great report. Thank you very much. I have a couple questions regarding abuse and metals. I'm really happy, obviously, to see your abuse programming continue. My concern is there were originally 3 low incidence programs or programming in 3 locations at Arbutus, Lansdowne, and Shoreline for middle school. The other 2 have closed at this point. And you're saying Reynolds is going to have a dedicated program of some sort. I know I'm a little familiar with the room at Reynolds, and it's a very small room. And I'm thinking you've got 12.8% of the district population are special needs learners, and obviously there's a diverse learning can be taken. People want diverse learning, and some will want low incidence programming, some won't. We talked about that. My concern would be if you're going to have a low incidence program at Arbutus, there's a low incidence program at Arbutus for one middle school for the district. You've had 3 programs running. The school enrollment is increasing. How are you going to decide if you get more than 10 applicants? How are you going to decide for this next juncture coming into September 2020? How would you decide if you have more than 10 applicants? Because right now the program will only handle 10, and also with Reynolds as well, with the small room that Reynolds is in.